Hi everyone, this is Itlali from the Mexica movement, and I'm making a live video because there's so much to talk about over the last things that have happened to the woman that was brutally arrested by a deputy in the city of Perris, California on June 7th, 2017. So we basically just want to let you know that we understand this to be a rise of white terrorism under the Donald Trump administration. And we have to understand that we need to look at this systematically. Yes, it is police brutality. Yes, it is excessive force. Yes, her civil rights were violated. Yes, this is racial profiling again, because what they see are brown people and brown bodies. White people don't get treated like that for selling oranges, or if they do, or little lemonade. White people don't get treated like that. White people don't get slammed on the floor, don't get pulled by the hair, don't get covered in their mouth. So there is a lot of violations that took place. And even though it's a small video, Joaquina, the flower lady that was brutalized by the Perris Police Department, is a friend of mine. And I know the details to that story, and it gets worse. So what we see on the video, it's just partial of what the horrible experience that she had under the hands and custody of the Perris police station. And so what they thought was, oh, here's another illegal. And again, let us take this opportunity to educate European settlers and other anchor babies. So let's talk about the reality. We are indigenous people. We are called by the federal government Mexican, Central American, Native American, South American, all those terms, right? We are indigenous people. We are indigenous, whether we are from Guatemala, Honduras, Brazil, Colombia, Mexico. All of us are indigenous people. We have been on this continent for thousands and thousands upon thousands of years. So what we're seeing here is a rise of white terrorism. We want to talk about terrorism. The biggest terrorist threats on this landmass known as the United States is white terrorism. That's what's going on here. What happened to our sister Joaquina is another example of the liberties and the complete disregard to law that Europeans have when they talk about and they enforce the law. She's unemployed. She was selling lace, with graduation ceremonies. People do this all the time. Selling flowers and those Hawaiian lace on the graduation ceremony. People were getting cited, and she was gathering her items, and that's when the deputy completely grabs her, pulls her by the hair, does not explain what's going on, and slams her to the ground and handcuffs her. And the details that follow are worse. And when she is ready to make a public statement, when she is ready, all that will come to light. But for now, let me tell you that this is a case of white supremacy. This is white terrorism again. So we have to understand that we need to look at this in a historical perspective. This is what's going on. A brown woman was, again, they assumed, right? Just because you're brown, they assume that you are undocumented. They assume that, and this is the whole Trumpism. This is a whole rise of white supremacy where they normalize this type of language where everyone who's brown and is talking about justice is undocumented in their eyes. Again, this whole fascination with legality. So again, let us remind you that we are not illegal to this land. We will never be illegal to this land, to this continent. And again, we survived a genocide of 95% of our population. Those of us that survived under a very limited, a very undignified manner in which we were limited in our use of our theology and the use of our languages and the use of our cultures. So what you have today is millions upon millions upon millions of indigenous people ignorant of their history, because we are systematically kept ignorant, and everyone is kept ignorant of it, not just us, but Europeans. You've been lied to as well. So again, we have this reality, this colonial scheme where we exist and we don't understand that we have a direct connection to this land. And furthermore, they create these colonial terms like Hispanic and Latino to continue the separation of our ownership, of our existence, of our presence, and our rightful ownership to this land. So we do have to talk about that when we're talking about this incident that happened to my friend Joaquina, who was selling lace and flowers, and goodness sake, to them, that's enough to brutalize her and slam her on the ground. So we need to put this into context. It's not just about that very moment. Think about the hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of our people that have suffered the same treatment by the authorities, where they assume that they are undocumented, and undocumented or not. The fuck are they doing treating you that way? Where's due process? Where's this whole thing about proven innocent until proven guilty, or guilty until proven innocent? It's all screwed up. So let us be very honest about what we're talking about here. And what we're talking about is white supremacy. It is a rise of terrorism in our communities, where people of European descent and our own people, right, and our own sellout bandidos feel that they are above the law and that they are going to take law into their own hands. So that's what we're seeing here in this case of this woman Joaquina, who was selling flowers and lace after graduation in the city of Perris, California. So again, we need to put this in historical context. We need to demonstrate the truth behind this, and we in the Mexica movement are helping her fundraise for that. There's going to be a link provided on this video, so those of you who choose to donate to her, because she is going to be fighting this legally, and she is, you know, she needs help. I mean, people who do that is because they're making a living. They want to make a decent living. So if you can please donate to her, support her, and join us in all the actions that we're going to be planning to support her and our people like her, please join us. I will be putting the information at the bottom of this video, and look at our social media accounts as well. And again, what we're talking about is white supremacy, and the fact that us as Nicantlaca people, Nicantlaca means indigenous, and that comes from the Nahuatl language. And again, if you use Nicantlaca, or if you call yourself indigenous or native, we are the original people of this continent. And what we're seeing here is a complete rise of white supremacy, and this rhetoric. It's no longer just rhetoric, it's actual actions. They're taking on physical actions of hate, and not only that, the institutions of white supremacy are tightening their grip, and they're becoming more embracing of these taking in your own hands type of laws. And let us remember John Hernandez, who was choked to death by the husband of an officer in Texas. Let us remind you of the type of hatred and the type of hateful actions that are committed by Trump supporters, which are really white terrorists. And our own people that lend themselves to that are the sellout white supremacists. So let us be clear about that. Let us be clear that we are talking about white supremacy, yet another example of how the authorities are brutalizing our bodies as indigenous people. And we're talking about the fact that white people don't get treated this way for selling or vending little lemonades or oranges, whatever it is. That does not happen to white people. White people do not get brutalized this way. White people do not get treated this way. White people are not systematically oppressed and persecuted the way we are. So let's understand the racial dynamics of these laws and the way that they are implemented in our community, and the way that our people continue to be terrorized under these systems of white supremacy. So again, this is Citlali from the Mexica movement, and I'm doing a live video because I'm really busy right now. I was with Joaquina last night, and on my Facebook I have a live feed where she gave her very first public statement about what happened, and I will be uploading that video here on YouTube so you guys can take a look at that. So again, please you have to please understand that this is a white supremacy system, that this system is oppressing our people, that they're using legality and patriotism to really hide their true feelings of white terrorism, white nationalism, which in essence it all boils down to white supremacy. supremacy. So this is what we're seeing here in the treatment of my friend Joaquina, the flower lady, who was selling flowers after a graduation in the city of Perris, California, which was under the Riverside County board and demographic area. So understand that this is a system of white supremacy that is now skyrocketed because of Donald Trump, the Nazi Gestapo-like man who runs this colonial country, is giving a free pass to these white supremacists to go crazy. And if they have any type of power over our people, they are now gonna go above and beyond to brutalize, to criminalize, to violate our people's rights, our people's lives, our people's bodies. So we need to let everyone know that we are awake and we see what's happening, and we understand that we're gonna call it for what it is. This is white supremacy, America. This is what you're breathing and birthing. This is a reflection of the origins of the actual spine of this country, which is white supremacy. And this whole government of Donald Trump is completely opening the doors to this type of terrorism and this type of treatment. Let us take a little history lesson. Let us remember Operation Wetback. Let us remember Eisenhower. Let us remember the actual mass deportations of our people during the so-called Great Depression, right? Where what happened? That they indiscriminately deported our people, regardless if they were with papers or not. So that is exactly what we're seeing again, is this whole revival of this, what they call a nativist view. No, it's a white supremacist view. It's the whole fact that we as a people, we as indigenous people, in 50 years, we will be the majority in this country. Understand that. We will be the majority in this country. And what's happening is that white supremacy has established them, has conditioned a lot of people of European descent to think that they are superior, to think that they're above and beyond people of color. And now what they're seeing, they are seeing successful people of color. They are seeing that we are awake. They are seeing that we are assertive with who we are, that we are taking pride in who we are, that we're no longer going to be shamed for being indigenous, Mexican, Central American, Native American, or Black or Asian, that we are taking power back, that we are asserting ourselves, that we are reclaiming who we are. And these Europeans that have been conditioned into white supremacy, because let me tell you, decolonization is a two-way street. They colonize us, and right, we're colonized, but Europeans also colonize themselves into thinking, into accepting and worshiping this concept of white supremacy and this false notion of superiority. So that mentally is gonna fuck with you for a very long time. If you've been taught that you deserve privilege just based on your ancestral beginnings and where you come from, you're in for a rude awakening, because you're gonna have to put in work, because you realize that, yeah, you're not so great like you were socialized to believe. Because in this whole system, we start seeing the truth. We start dismantling this whole concept of white supremacy, and understand people can be proud of who they are. That's all fine and dandy. But let us remind you that Europeans are the only group of people that have gone around the globe to terrorize, to commit massive genocides. The worst genocides in the history of the world have been committed by them. They've stolen the most land. They've stolen the most knowledge. They have appropriated cultures left and right. So those of us that are ancient peoples, those of us that descend from an ancient connection, from an ancient land, let us embrace that. Let us embrace that, because we are a continuation of ancient wisdom, of ancient understanding of the planet, of the theology. So even though they have tried for 5 centuries, in my case as an indigenous woman, to strip us and dehumanize us and to leave us scraping for our own pride, we have to understand that it's a new generation, and we're learning, and we're going to universities, right? but we are claiming who we are. We are reclaiming our history, our heritage, our identity. So what's happened with our sister, with my friend Joaquina, is a reflection of what's been happening. It just happened to be a video that is now demonstrating to everyone what really took place. So again, this is Citlali from the Mexica movement. I wanted to do a live video to discuss what happened to my friend Joaquina, the flower lady, who was brutally arrested by a police deputy in the city of Perris, California. There are going to be actions for this. Please check out my Facebook page. Check out my Instagram. It's all there. So please check out the information. It's there for everyone to see. And again, this is white supremacy. This is that horrible notion that somehow white people are better, and it's all manufactured itself, and it's manifested itself into these systems of white supremacy that give way to white terrorism in our communities. And again, we're waking up. We see through this bullshit. We can see through this facade of patriotism. This is not about being patriots. This is not about being nationalists. It's about being a white supremacist. So let's get that through our heads and through everyone's head. They can call it whatever they want, but this is white supremacy. And it continues to this very day, reflected in the actions taken by the Perris Police Department against a woman of indigenous descent who was selling flowers. Flowers. That's what happens in this country with a triple K. When you sell flowers, you are brutalized. You are assumed to be an undocumented person, because again, that's what Donald Trump's, his education level only allows him a certain understanding and a certain IQ and a certain grasp of what the world is like. And in his world, in his little white supremacist world, that's what is going on here. And this is white supremacy. The biggest threats to anyone in this country is not ISIS. It's not somewhere in the Middle East. The biggest crimes committed, as a matter of fact, in the whole planet world, have been here on this soil, in this part of the world where we descend from. We, Mexicans, Central American, Native American, South American. This is our homeland. Whether they want to call it El Salvador, USA, this is our homeland. And this is our ancient connections, and we have ancient ownership to this. So yeah, we are not Hispanic. We are not Latino. I am not a language that was forced on the survivors of a genocide of 95%. I am not that. I am not the colonizer. I am not the English language. I am not British because I'm speaking English. Y no soy hispana porque hablo español. Ni tlatoa citlali hablando náhuatl. So get ready. We have education on our side. We have justice on our side. So although times are really like fucked up with all this white supremacy and all these white terrorists and all these white people going crazy, and just keep it together. We are above that. We have a lot to represent. We have a new generation of warriors who don't have to kneel to that low understanding of violence and hatred, because we don't hate. I do hate white supremacy. I do hate injustice. I do hate the killings of our people. But where we come from, it's about self-love. It's about self-reflection. It's about knowledge of self. It's about knowing who we are, knowing where we've been, and planning for our future. Because again, we will be the majority in this country. So we have to start decolonizing. We need to start taking ownership. We need to make sure that we protect our community. We need to make sure that we are there for our community. And again, all this is nonviolent. We're doing this nonviolence, with dedication, with organization, with discipline. No need to get dirty like that. We don't need that. We have knowledge, we have the truth, and we have history behind us. So with that, Citlali from the Mexica movement, thank you so much for watching. Go on my Facebook page and my Instagram page and my Twitter page. I have a lot of information where you can learn more of the actions that are going to be taking place to defend and to stand in solidarity with La Señora de las Rosas, the lady with the flowers that was brutally arrested and treated by the Perris Police Department. Thank you very much for watching. This is Citlali from the Mexica movement. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to message me. And again, this is Citlali, and I am from the Mexica movement, a nonprofit organization for the people of Mexican, Central American, Native American, South American descent. Gotta describe that because that's the way we know how to identify ourselves. Although we do not identify as those governmental terms, we identify as Nicantlaca, Indigenous people, and we call for the unity of our people on this continent because it's our continent, it's our homeland. A lot of people don't like it, but the truth is the truth. So thank you very much for watching. This is Citlali from the Mexica movement. I'm on my lunch break right now. But anyway, we'll be back soon for more information, so stay tuned. A lot more coming your way. Citlali from the Mexica movement. Tlazo Kamati, Mexica.